would have been a great title for this episode. The letter Q and then B.
Oh, how did they not do that? How is this not called Cube? What the fuck, Star Trek? Captain's Pod, Stardate 21-20-55.4. Welcome aboard the Starship Enterprise, and thank you for joining us on our continuing voyages through the final frontier. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, she's the definition of a dark and stormy night. It's Ambassador Deneé.
Why am I the definition of a dark and stormy night?
You're just a cliche opening to a book.
Really? Like which book?
It's the book from last week, The Royale.
I'm that much of a cliche?
No.
Is that why? Is
the
that why you
intro's
chose me as your podcast partner?
Yeah, I needed a cliche to match my nerd.
Yeah. That makes sense. I guess.
You okay with that?
I have to be. I'm in space. I can't get off this fucking ship.
You can get off, you just wouldn't last very long. We'll give you an escape pod. Speaking of escape pod.
Oh, that was an accidental segue. Your eyes lit up. You were so happy.
That was an accidental segue. Do you want to tell them quickly about escape pod?
We talked about this a little bit last week, so I don't want to spend too much time on it because I could go on and on and on and on and on. I am doing a terrifying experiment with Ian where I pretend to know what I'm talking about when it comes to Star Trek.
God damn it. I don't know if you're trolling me or not.
I'm just really tired. Like I genuinely rolled out of bed and stumbled downstairs less than 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I was in a deep, deep sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So God knows what's about to happen. But anyway, Escape Pod is an experimental improv thing that we're doing on Patreon. It is for our T-flingers and above, which is just T-flingers. Our Patreon is just one level of support. It's $3. And we're just putting out test audio essentially. And we've done some of the audio straight from our phones and some of the audio down in the studio. And so it's just like a little mix of ideas where I create a pretend universe for Ian's character to play around inside of. And the world that we're playing inside of is Star Trek based, only Ian knows more about Star Trek than me. So it's a bit of a scramble on my end to keep up with
And I'm
him.
learning new things through Deneé.
What did you learn?
I learned...
I mean, that was sweet to say, but I think you're lying.
I learned that I have a hard time distinguishing dreams from reality.
You learned that you want to so badly be in the world of Star Trek, you will ignore me telling you exactly what's going on just to remain happily functioning on the bridge.
Head over to Ian and Deneé at patreon.com to have a listen to that. We are starting a new season ambassador to celebrate 4 years of Captain's Pod. 4 years. Can you believe we've been doing this for 4 years?
Oh, I can't.
Actually, did you think 4 years when we started? I don't think I did.
Okay, so a couple of things.
Oh no, this is it. This is the last one.
No. I definitely thought that it had potential to keep going because you love Star Trek so much.
Yes.
That I think your love of this universe could carry us until we're doing podcasts at like 90 years old. And we just, someone feels sorry for us and edits it together. And it's just this incoherent rambling about Riker maneuvers and how we just can't do it anymore because our hips don't work. Like it'll be like that. But the other reason I'm not surprised that it's continued on is because there's so much content. You know, like some podcasts and experiments for shows can only last when the show is live and there and people are watching it for the first time and enjoying it. And there's like that buzz. But with Star Trek, the buzz kind of comes with the new shows, but then the old shows carry it due to the fan base and
100%.
Yeah. So I'm not really surprised that we've got the content. I'm not surprised because you have the passion. I think I'm surprised that the fans of our show have become such like an everyday part of our lives. You know, you might not know it like listening to the show, but every single week we just talk about how lucky we feel to be able to keep doing this.
Yep, completely agree. And through the Discord, you guys genuinely are part of our everyday life as well. We're jumping in there and talking all the flipping time. Yeah, love it. I'm happy to talk about Star Trek for another 4 years. I would be doing this in some form probably just talking to today. I think actually you're watching less Star Trek now than if we didn't have a show to do. Because I spare you from watching Star Trek because I know we're going to do it on the show. Yeah,
when your parents were in town and Star Trek was on the TV for basically 24 hours nonstop. Every time I walked through the living room that it was on.
Yeah, I might miss that the most.
I was like, oh, this is bad. I can't be watching this. Every moment of my Star Trek life has to be spared for the show.
You've already seen too much accidentally.
It feels like that.
Well, we're kicking off our anniversary season with hitting some episodes that I have just wanted to do for so long, but have been saving them for something special. So we started with Picard. We are going to celebrate our 4th anniversary with some Picard Locutus Borg origins. Probably the greatest 2-parter in all of Star Trek, perhaps, arguably. Probably the most famous. With that? We're not starting with that. That's what will be in this season.
Oof, okay.
And I think universally the most loved Star Trek TNG crew movie as well. Not loved by everybody, but the best of the 4 for sure.
So why pick Borg? Is it because the 2-parter is so good that you had to go to the 2-parter?
It's because of the Locutus thing. That's what it is. And we've never done the first ever episode with the Borg. So it's time.
When reflecting on Star Trek, you think of the bird of prey decloaking, and you think of the Borg.
Yes.
And maybe the Tribble.
Maybe. And Spock.
Well, as far as characters go, but unique things that are not your beloved crew, you think about specific elements.
Oh, yeah.
I think Borg is Klingons, Borgs. Borg? Borgs?
It's Borg.
Just Borg.
Borg, plural and singular.
Because they're collectively one.
We are the Borg.
God, that's so scary.
Yeah, right.
I can't wait to jump into it.
Well, we're kicking off with Season 2, Episode 16, which is Q Who. Before we do a couple of predictions, Ambassador, I got a message on Discord from Link, and I hope this doesn't set the expectation too high, but I just think you'll like this message. He said, I think this might be one of my favourite episodes I have ever watched for Captain's Pod. I'm so glad I got into Star Trek because of you guys. Now, Link hadn't watched any Star Trek at all until he started watching along with the pod. So he has been along for the ride, very much as Deneé has been, just dipping in and watching it. So he's now watched close to 200 episodes with us, somewhere in that region, 150 to 200, something like that. And this is his favourite.
That's crazy. I'm excited. I'm excited to go along for the journey. I mean, everything that you've put together for the show has been really interesting and delicious. So you really can't go wrong, as we've seen with Tuvix.
To be fair, the content helps me not go wrong because it's so flipping good. Ambassador, predictions for Q Who?
Q Who? Well, I mean, here's the thing. I know it's going to be Borg-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Q is assimilated by the Borg.
Let's go. Jesus Christ, by the way.
I know, right? How come that's never happened? Because they're so powerful they can just snap?
I mean, you would think so, but we have seen an episode of Voyager where... Have we seen that episode?
No, I haven't.
I can't remember if we have or not,
please let there be a Borg Q. That sounds so scary.
But Q is pissed off with his son because his son is fucking around with Voyager and the Borg, and he just screams at his son, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times, don't provoke the Borg.
Oh.
There is fear from Q about the Borg.
Yeah.
But it might just be that the Borg will assimilate all of his toys.
The Q species really should have never been created. It's sort of like the broken species, isn't it?
Super broken. Introduced in episode 1 of TNG. Broken.
The Q must be so bored.
Why do you think he fucks around with Picard so much? That's it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But we're not studying Q. We're studying, not the board Q. We're studying the Borg and Q.
All right, with that, let's head over to the holodeck. Leave the puns to me, Ambassador.
That was pretty good.
We'll see you in 10 Forward for a full debrief. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our quasi-immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important thing first, what would you like from the replicator?
Hot chocolate, of course.
Oh.
Of course. I want hot chocolate in engineering.
Yes.
Not just hot chocolate anywhere.
No.
Specifically in engineering.
I want a fresh uniform because you are going to spill that on me.
Yes, I am.
Just constantly banging into walls.
Can we just stop right here?
Yes.
The biggest mystery of this episode
Continue.
is what was Captain Picard going to engineering for in the first place?
Oh, we'll never know.
And that would be a great launching point for an episode of like Lower Decks or something, because he was down there for a reason. He was coming around the corner pretty hot and like he was ready to do something.
The fact that Geordi wasn't frantic means that it was an unannounced visit as well. So was it like an unannounced inspection? Because I would hate that. If the captain is turning up at my department and I'm not expecting him to, you're a busy man. You don't need to be down here unless there's a reason. And
he went down there for a reason. And that reason was to get hot chocolate spilled on him, leave the scene, and then go do something else.
Yes. Yep. Was his plan to come back? Because immediately he gets derailed.
He was kidnapped. So
sent to System J 14, whatever.
But it wasn't important because he could have delivered the important information with hot chocolate on his body. He just decided that instead of doing that, he was going to go get cleaned up and then go back and deliver whatever news he went there for in the first place.
We have dermal regenerators, but we don't have little wands that can dry spillages from uniform.
Yeah. What are those? Is it psionic showers? Is that what you call them?
Sonic shower. A psionic shower would be very different. But yeah, a sonic shower. Exactly.
For just clothes?
Yeah, sonic shower. I mean, what do they do with it? Anyway, we are sidetracking. Ambassador, give us a synopsis about this fucking incredible episode.
Oh dear, is this one of your favorites?
I don't give a shit. It's incredible. I don't care what you think about this episode. I love it. It's so fucking good. Give us a synopsis that does it justice.
Okay. In this episode, let us not forget that this is the introduction of a new and unique enemy to the
Sonya Gomez.
Star Trek universe. I thought you wanted me to do a serious one, sir.
No, I'm sorry. I was like, you can't miss that. A new and unique enemy, Sonya Gomez.
The Borg are introduced, and the way that they're introduced is through Q flinging the Enterprise 7,000 light years away into their territory, thereby potentially kickstarting the Borg's interest in Starfleet, in Picard, in whatever is going on the Enterprise. It is a ominous toned episode, one that if you're going to be showing this to someone, it obviously would be in a Q category, a Borg category, an ominous category. And I think that this is going to be a fun one to talk about.
Gut instinct, overall thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, go on.
The anticipation. Do you like this episode?
Yes.
Yes! That's it. We're done.
Okay, bye.
We're out. Okay, bye. I mean, as far as this is obviously the introduction of the Borg, is it what you expected of an introduction to the Borg? What were you anticipating based on like introducing a new enemy is such a big deal and the Borg are so huge. Is it like weird to watch the first episode with the Borg knowing how much is coming?
Yeah, it is really. There's a couple of things that my brain is doing while watching this episode. One is you have to remember that up until now, the enemies of Star Trek were negotiable.
Yeah.
They were punchable. They were like morally misguided,
by human standards.
Yeah, like we would have like conversations and monologues and dialogues, and there would be this sort of openness to diplomacy or a clear like, oh, you're bad, we can kill you vibe. And so it was like, more of a clear, at least in my estimation, more of a clear cut enemy. And so what I was doing while watching this was remembering that this is a very unique enemy to introduce and how that must have felt for the viewer to walk away from this episode going, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like the idea of these people coming back or these non-people coming back. The show had to do a lot of introduction to something extremely unique because they don't talk. They don't interact. They don't really have any, they ignore you. They regenerate. They incubate. They're one mind. They're just this mystery. And so the threat is not just like felt in the show itself. I mean, the threat was there. It was certainly like big and unique and like ominous, But it's also, they introduced the lingering threat. And so that's a very interesting thing to have happen in this episode. So yes, it was interesting knowing what's about to happen. My brain was like, oh boy. But I was really trying to live in what would it have felt like watching this, never having seen Borg before. And I actually did. Like, I get to remember this episode because I remember.
Wait, you remember this episode?
Yeah. When did this episode actually?
1989.
Yeah. So I would have been 8 years old.
Oh, that's
watching
so
this episode.
fun. I had no idea.
Yeah. I mean, like if I watched it when it came out or if I watched it on reruns, I don't know exactly. Yes. But I remember watching this and feeling like, oh no, what was that? Because they're just this unique thing. They're like a machine. And there's also this interesting moment that they do with a camera where Data is watching the Borg walk by, and Data is like the only sort of android-esque made of machine thing that I had seen on the show. And then suddenly here is a different version of that. Like, are these Data? Like, what is this? And he's kind of like looking at them, and I'm putting my own spin into what he is quote unquote thinking about, not just analyzing threat and things like that, but just this really uncomfortable comparison between these two types of characters.
Very interesting that you pick up on the Data connection, something that will be explored much more in this season as well. There was a very deliberate effort when introducing the Borg to not make them another Romulan, another Klingon, another Ferengi, which Q spells out. He's like, they're unlike anything you've seen. They don't care about greed, power, politics, like just listing Ferengi, Klingon, Romulan. It was like, they're nothing that you've seen before. They don't care about you.
They want to acquire you.
Yeah, unless you can add to their technology. It was just, I love you can tell, like the quality goes up when you have an intentionality and a purpose. The purpose was to introduce a villain that is super duper scary, knowing that they will come back in future seasons. And so much groundwork and lore is put into the Borg in this episode. Like, the only thing that's really missing is specifically saying assimilating. Like, they don't mention that. But the rest of the groundwork for the Borg is all in this episode and laid out. Mm-hmm. And like, that's why this is such an important episode for Borg and Locutus, because the lore comes from this 45 minutes and they stay really, really true to it. What's interesting is that they were going to be an insect race. So they were going to be not humanoid at all. They were going to be insects, to following a colony in that sense. But budget restrictions. So much easier to dress up a human with some implants than to have an insect prosthetic. Can you imagine if the Borg were insects? How different it would be.
No, and that's the hard part about trying to go back in time, and I can't imagine it, and seeing what we've seen so far. But I love that they are inspired by the colony, because that is a common way to describe the Borg, with even the Queen,
Yes, exactly. I adore this episode so much. I really like the fact that it's Q that has done this as well, and I haven't fully connected the dots as to why, because it might seem a bit cheap to like just, Q's done it again. But there's just some history in my brain that I love, like how enduring the character of Q has been, and to tie him into the Borg as well. Like, the two probably biggest adversaries of TNG, and they're always going to be linked together. Q is the reason the Federation meets the Borg in the way that they do. The dominoes that Q sets off by shunting them 7,000 light years away that prematurely, it affects the rest of TNG, it affects one of the movies, it affects Picard, the TV show, it affects Deep Space Nine. Like, it gets tied into so much lore. So how do you feel about Q being part of this journey as well? Because it's quite a unique Q episode. It's not really about Q.
It is about Q. The whole thing is centered around Q wanting to play with some playmates. He's been kicked out of the collective because of things that he's already done. And the episode, continuum. Sorry, thank you. And my talk about him becoming a Borg is still in my brain, apparently. I think the episode did a good job with the conversation that they have in 10 Forward with Guinan, Picard, Riker, when Worf goes out to kind of guard and everything, where Riker recounts several things that Q has done. Like, we're not just going to trust you. You've done this, this, and this to us. And so they briefly give us a reminder of what Q has done in case you're coming to the show for the first time and you kind of missed what's going on. It was very interesting. Obviously, so this is a very hostile episode for almost every reason. It was an interesting balance of the hostility is that we're really feeling is between Picard and Q and Riker and Q. It's not the Borg. The Borg is a mystery. It's showcasing like Picard's desire to like explore and discover new things and be diplomatic, and Q saying you can't always do that, and I'm going to show you why. So the frustration and the anger and the angst is in that relationship with Q. So it's definitely uncomfortable, but the dialogue back and forth it's rich. They're really like, they're getting at something in each sentence. And unfortunately, because of the way that Q is positioned, and I think some of the things that he says, I think it kind of unfolds in on itself a little bit. Like Q is like really going at Picard. I think my interpretation here is because he's what is the word? Arrogant and has this inflated ego about Starfleet and maybe like their position in the universe.
Yeah, their cockiness about exploring the galaxy. And
the hard part about that for me is that I don't know that I agree that Picard is being like an egocentric person.
No,
I think,
not at all.
So Q episodes are infuriating because it's like talking to like the most powerful gaslighter to ever exist. And I find him horribly annoying. And so when we watched Picard at the beginning of this, of this podcast. And there's this element of like two characters that are kind of coming back together and like reflecting on the good old days. It's like, yeah, but you're the abuser and maybe you're regretting some of your choices or whatever, but he's just not somebody I would ever want to be around. Q is the embodiment of so many characteristics of people that I avoid. Yes. The one that knows it all, the one that can't stop talking about himself, the one that turns everything you say immediately against you and then uses that against you later, even though they're the one that brought up the plan or the idea. Like he literally blames Picard at the end for doing things that he himself set into motion. So I don't know how I feel about Q being in it, but it makes sense because if you're going to go introduce a bad guy that is going to eventually assimilate everything, you have to have a way to introduce them and then get them far away so that it doesn't happen too quickly. Like they were really smart to figure out how can we get them there and pull them out? Like how can we teleport them 7,000 and 7,000? And then, Q is just one of those entities. I think people want to see Q. But the only reason I was really into Q is because of his hissy cat fight with Guinan, honestly. Oh
my God. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. There's a couple of points I want to expound upon. So we've met Q twice at this point. Encounter at Farpoint, the very first episode of TNG. And then there's another episode in season 1 where he basically comes back and fucks around with the crew as much as he wants. Like, this is the most fuckery he does with the crew.
Is that the one where they're out in the woods?
No, that's much later. This is called Hidden Q, I think. And he pits them in games against each other, but kind of comes around to focusing on Riker and wants to make Riker a Q.
Oh, that's right. He mentioned that.
And Picard basically makes a wager like, Riker won't go with you. He will remain human. And I will bet, like, you can have him if you want him. But then the counter bet is if he says no, you'll leave us alone. You will never return to the Enterprise. You won't meddle with us ever again. And Q agrees, which is why he's plucked Picard up and taken him to the shuttle. And it's like, I'm not technically on your ship. I'm fucking with you. That's the loophole that he's got. Because it would have been a bit ironic. Like, then his word really means, his word doesn't mean anything, but his word really means nothing. And eventually he says, okay, hear me out and I'll return you to your ship. And he does.
There's also a moment where Q wants to relinquish his power and join the crew.
Yes.
And
how genuine do you think that is?
I mean, I don't think anything that Q says is genuine.
No.
I think Q is just the most ADHD character with power. Like, he's just in his moment. He wants to do this and he wants to do this. And he's just like, whatever his next thought is what his reality is. I guess maybe I can kind of relate to that. I don't know.
But he has the power to literally make that so.
Exactly. So his presence in this episode is to, I think, come to Picard out of like boredom, zero humility, zero apology for his reasoning, because the Q character is an entity that sees all and so is not bothered by the things we are bothered by, does not see the reason. Like, there could have been another way to do every single thing that would have been, I don't know, kinder or whatever, but that's not his purpose. Like, he doesn't really care about how you feel about it. It's just, this is what's going to happen and this is what makes the most sense. And I do find that to be a little bit interesting. It's just, in measure, is good. Like, Q being in the show sporadically is very good.
Yeah, and with a function and a question. Like, he serves a great function in this episode, because it could have been like, sir, we have an unknown alien ship on sensors. And it's not as impactful. Everything about this introduction of the Borg, from them being really far away, an exciting bit of space, to Guinan knowing what they are, Q knowing what they are. We have an unreliable narrator and a reliable narrator telling us what the Borg are. It's such a great way to introduce them, rather than just the crew of the Enterprise fumbling through first contact with them.
Yeah, because first, I mean, they basically did fumble through first contact. We'll get to that, I guess. But so his role is like to come in with this omniscient way of thinking, and I don't know his motivation except for likely boredom, because he's alone. And I think that he wanted to join the ship. He was thinking, you know what, I'll fling him out to meet this, this enemy that they're not prepared for, so they have to need me. And the crew rejects him multiple times because they don't trust him. And maybe that's the ego. Maybe that's the captain's hubris or stubbornness that maybe is actually there, is that Picard could have said, you know what, Q, sure, you can join our crew. You can limit your powers. We'll figure this out. Like, obviously there's protocol that would need to come in place if he was actually going to join Starfleet, but instead they're so angry and dismissive of him, and they're so like, just get off the ship. We don't want to have anything to do with you. And maybe that is kind of what he was saying. I don't know. It's hard to digest all of it, because their dialogue back and forth, their anger, the emotion that they're playing out in these scenes when they're talking to each other is just really rich, and like,
it is so
it's ripe.
It's easily the best written episode of the first two seasons for me, and there are some good ones, and Measure of a Man is up there as like number 1, number 2 with this one. But this is during the writer's strike, and in my head I'm like, how did you get this? Like, there is some incredible writing in this episode. I want to talk about Q's motivation, because it's very, on the surface of it, you could believe everything he says. And yeah, I was ejected from the Continuum because I'm fucking around too much, and maybe the Enterprise and what he did in the previous episodes is one example of many bits of fuckery that he's doing.
Yeah.
And now he's like, well, I'm bored. What do I want to do? I actually want to give this Starship crew thing a try, because you've actually challenged me on 2 occasions and kind of got out of it in a way that satisfied Q's arbitrary rules. So it could just be that, yeah, I want to be part of the crew. And then his feelings are hurt, and he is insulted that his mightiness hasn't immediately been accepted onto the crew. Like,
right.
You accept everyone onto this crew, why not me? And it's even more hurtful because Picard is like, I want to study you, and yet I still don't want anything to do with you. So it could just be then a literal snap decision to say, fuck you, I'm going to show you what you're missing out on, and I'm going to show you how badly you need me. But also, this is Q. And I like to think that the omnipotent, super hyper intelligent being didn't want any of that, and this is just another Q game. He wasn't ejected from the Continuum at this point. He just set all of that up knowing that the crew would reject him, and he would have a justification to fuck with them and send them off to the Borg and see how they played against a new enemy, instead of just walking in, snapping his fingers and saying, here you go, have some fun, bye. because that all leads back to Picard feeding his ego and begging him for help. So in my head, I like to believe that Q had no intent of being part of the crew at all. He was goading them into proclaiming his arrogance and how ready they are, because that's what he's seen, that they are ready to do the space jellies and encounter in Farpoint. They can solve any problem that comes in front of them, because Picard has been very rightfully confident in the face of Q.
Yes, and Q also in this episode has a new adversary, like with Guinan.
Oh my God, wow, it's so good.
So the episode builds this really interesting tension just below the surface in many, many ways. It's a really unique watching experience when you've got Guinan like looking out the window ominously, and you have even LaForge, who's like chatting with a new colleague, catches something, is like, I'm going to go to engineering. Something's not right. You know, there's just this sense of dread and like this buildup of something is coming. And so when Q sees Guinan, he almost reacts to her like he's having an allergic reaction.
Yes. Or he's like actually scared.
He seems to be scared, or like she knows more and he's intimidated by what she knows about him.
She's got some secrets on him.
They've known each other like for a long time. Like maybe he doesn't hate her, but he's threatened and annoyed and deeply inconvenienced by her ability to see through his nonsense, you know? And that is what I think is so great about Q in this episode, is that we finally are in a position where our characters are annoyed, our crew, Picard and Riker, are annoyed that he's there again fucking with them. Mm-hmm. But you still feel powerless against the Q character. Yeah. And we're going to feel powerless against the Borg here in a minute. Mm-hmm. So to give power to Guinan really helps to settle us as a viewer and as these, watching these beloved characters, to kind of go, oh no, we're okay because we have an ace in our pocket. Apparently Guinan is ageless and she has cat claws and can counter spells against Q or whatever she's doing.
It's kind of like Q is the magician and he's doing this elaborate magic trick, and then he spots someone in the audience that knows how he does the magic trick. It's like, oh, you're going to tell everyone. You're going to tell everyone my tricks.
Yes.
It is so clever. It's the first and I think only person that comes close to having some edge on Q. I have a feeling he could still snap her out of existence, but I don't know. There is something she is doing, and it's like, can she actually like resist him completely? Because he snaps everyone out of 10 forward, doesn't snap Guinan. He isn't even aware of Guinan's presence, just like pops up until she pops up from behind the bar.
Like a little gopher or like a little meerkat coming up.
She's like, surprised. How hard is it to confuse and surprise a Q who is self-defined omnipotent? And she does her little like fingers, and I love the way that when everything is diffused, just the very tips of her fingers unflex. Like there's some physical acting there from Whoopi that I absolutely love. And her claws up against his little raise of his hand, like they're about to do a wizard fight. It gives me chills every single time. It is so incredible and like just insightful and imaginative to introduce Guinan as a foil for Q. Like that's totally unexpected. She hasn't been she only joins in season 2. She isn't in season 1 at all. So it makes sense that she doesn't pop up in a Q episode, the previous ones before, but to just use her in that way and then to use her as a guide for the Borg it's another thing that elevates this episode for me. There
was a little tinkle in my mind of Guinan, Q, and Picard in Picard, the show.
Yeah, season 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, what, this history goes in all these different directions. And I have had, because we didn't do the show immediately, I did some looking into some things.
This is new.
I know, because I had time this time. So I was just trying to figure out like why she is a threat. Like, why is she this upsetting to him? And as I was reading about Q, like Q likes to feed, and this is again why I run away from people like this. He likes to feed on like ego games, maybe is the best way to say it. And like emotional leverage sort
being
of.
Being the game master.
Yeah. Like he loves it when he has a reaction and people are falling into his traps and he's in like this, he has the edge on them and they're like displaced a little bit. But Guinan, when she's in this episode, she's like not afraid. She doesn't flinch. She almost like sees through him and she's not impressed. Like,
yeah, I'm done.
We're impressed with Q because he's this omniscient thing, but she's just, I don't think so. My question was about her species because when I was doing my notes, Q says she's and I think he said imp, but that wasn't what he said. He's I don't know what. So
no, he does call her an imp.
Oh,
like
okay.
She's an imp, but her species is Elorian.
Elorian,
but
that's
imp is like a little like mischievous, critical
which
being that just fucks with everything. He is the imp.
He's a fucking gaslighter.
Because that's what Picard says. No, you just described yourself, you dick.
Yeah,
like that's what you're next of kin to chaos.
So the Elorian, I was looking it up, and they were described as listeners and intuitive, and then sensitive to timey-wimey stuff, like temporal sensitive. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you think about what Q does. It messes with timelines. He like does all of these things. So it almost feels like when Q is messing with things, her species can sense it and she's just annoyed by him. He's like the kid that keeps moving the TV remote control and it's like, I know it's you. Stop doing that. You know, she can call him out. She can see through it. She can see through like his games. She can see this. Like, so the chessboard, for example, I think that was a really unique thing. The fact that there's a writer's strike right now is blowing my mind because there's so much intentionality and maybe it was accidental, but like Picard and Guinan are playing chess and she is like this. So Q like sees the universe as a chessboard, but then you have Guinan take the piece and move it. Like she is like, it unsettles him, you know, because she has this sort of power. It's unnerving. And also she's friends with Picard, which is like his favorite chew toy.
I mean, he wants to be Guinan to Picard. Like
he does.
I think he's very envious of that relationship, and he's trying to like come between them as well. And she's also going to spoil the fun because if his intent all along was to introduce him to the Borg, it'd be like, Guinan, you fucking know about the Borg. You've got all the spoilers. Like you're going to spoil some of the reveals that I wanted to give. Right.
Like she's going to say, you need to leave. Like you need to leave this space because the Borg are here. I can't believe Picard didn't listen to her, but whatever, we'll get to that.
Well, there's a weirdness there that, we'll get to that.
But how it relates to Picard, like I was going back to Picard. So what I did was I looked up what her species and kind of like what they're known for because I'd forgotten kind of what that is. Because Guinan to me is just this like cool chick at a bar, but she's actually not. She's an amazing like ancient race, right?
Yeah, ancient, long-lived race of geniuses.
So in Picard, their dynamic is like frenemies, and what I had forgotten is that Q visits her bar for essentially like an emotional reconnection, you know, which tells me that they're not actually enemies. They're just annoyed by each other all the time. You know what I mean?
It's hard because season 2 of Picard fucks with the timeline of when Picard and Guinan met and how they met. So I don't know how much of that is a timeline that we can respect and incorporate into what's happening.
But I can't help but
it
like
is interesting.
Remember that and go, this is their history. That it's not that Q hates her. It's that Q doesn't like that she has authority, power, wisdom, insight, and can sort of cancel essentially
maybe
his, like she can counterspell.
She can literally clearly. And I think he was bluffing when he said, I can help you expedite the process of removing her from the ship. I think he might have been bluffing. I think his powers are in the Guinan realm kaput at that point. I love that. And maybe he's like bitter that the Elorians are coming close to the power that the Q have.
Oh.
And maybe they're like one step like away from them, or maybe even better, they chose to not be like the Q. Maybe they could have ascended and chose not to, rejecting what the Q are. That's what like little headcanon says.
And what is that? Like he's chaos and she's like more of a healer. He breaks things, she fixes them. He will test Picard and she guides Picard. Like there's like there's a bit of an opposite sort of like I said, balance to her addition to this. It to me makes this episode feel so much better because we can kind of ground into her, but
So
it
much
also is the
texture to
biggest
it.
sin. It's the biggest disappointment of the episode too. And it's going to happen when you're making a show and you're creating new things as you go.
Go on.
How did she not ever talk about this before? Like, this is insane.
Good point. That is a big question in the community. Like why didn't you tell us about the fucking Borg? I do have an answer.
I know that they're far away.
Well, this ties into a couple of weird things, which is this is a lone Borg ship. The Borg are based in the Delta Quadrant, 80,000 light years away. They are spreading tentacles out. They are pushing ships outwards. There is a Borg ship that has entered into Federation space. I don't know if it's this one, but you remember when they approach one of the planets and Worf is describing how a great scoop has picked up all of the industry.
Right.
Well, in season 1, when they go to the neutral zone, they found the same thing.
Right.
And they assume that the Romulans have this new technology. The Romulans assume it's the Federation. So that's a callback to that episode where they've been finding this damage. But that's on their doorstep. That's not 7,000 light years away. So I think the Borg have a couple of scout ships this way. But when Picard goes to Guinan and says, your people have been to this area of space before, what is there? And she says, just turn back. She shouldn't be talking about the Borg, because this isn't the Borg's area of space. We're still 60,000 light years short of where the Borg should be. So what was it in this area of space that Guinan was scared of? Because it's just a coincidence that they happen to bump into this one rogue Borg ship that is so far away from where the Borg actually exist.
That's a great question. Like, what is she sensing? Or is she reading the future? Is she reading, like...
Yeah, maybe.
Can she, is she able to kind of go, the timeline has shifted. Suddenly we were X amount of years from meeting the Borg. Now we're this amount. We're like days from meeting the Borg. So she's sort of reading the timeline that has shifted. And I think that's what they're saying, is that Q forced a timeline shift and she is right in meeting it head on. Because
she does like allude to that at the end of the episode when she says Q brought your meeting with the Borg much sooner than it should. Much sooner by whose standard, Guinan?
Well,
but that's the interesting thing. Like, by the timeline that she can sense, like, this shouldn't have happened yet.
Yeah.
And that's, I love that.
That's what
so
I feel
much.
like, because with them being kind of so linked to time, I think that's what it is. And if the episode essentially kind of buries in a way her abilities, and like you said, they play with it again in Picard and sort of maybe it doesn't really match exactly, but if she had experienced the Borg before, she was extremely calm in her approach of talking about the Borg, which was also unsettling. And so it's like, I feel like the show is developing as it goes what the Borg is. And like, even in this episode, the first time that they bring in Guinan, she doesn't say, yeah, you need to get out of here. She's like, yeah, they're a little this, they're a little that. And then they have an interaction. They bring her back in and they're like, hey, so tell us more. And she's like, yeah, they're pretty dangerous. You know,
they wiped out my species. Like, this isn't like some story or some myth. They are the reason that her people are scattered throughout the quadrant.
Exactly. Or they're part of the reason.
That's the bit that I can feel that they kind of made up on the cuff. Like, they didn't create Guinan knowing that her species was destroyed by the Borg.
Right.
Like, that is for this episode.
Right, exactly. And that sometimes, I mean, that's going to happen. We talked about it so many times, like when you're building a D&D campaign and you just like, you add something and it doesn't make sense if you go back and start the campaign from day one that you would have this information, you know.
Yeah,
you just have to kind of go with it, and it's okay.
Totally, in my book, it's totally worth it. But it's not like, Guinan is hundreds of years old. So she's not going to tell Picard about every single species that she's encountered. But you'd think over the years that they've known each other, she'd have mentioned the one that nearly did a genocide on her. You would think that is a really hard disconnect, especially when we find out later on how close Picard and Guinan are and how deep their friendship is. you would really like he was unless she's deliberately withholding it, and maybe
that's what I think. Yes, because
maybe she doesn't want to share it.
I know, because I think like, and maybe this is the difference between the Illyrian and the Q, is that they're trying to be more guiding than they are trying to intervene and like take the wheel. Like they want to observe and they want to have information, and they're just sort of, they can use their knowledge, but they're trying not to
most of them
influence as much as they potentially could.
Yes.
Because knowing what she knows, should she have said something? And that's like, I would love for them to have explored that a little bit more. Like her depth of knowledge, her history with Picard, her experience with the Borg. Like it feels like she's holding something back in this episode. And is it destiny versus interference? Like, is she trying to figure out how to gently approach that? And that was a really interesting part of this episode for me too.
It's the Prime Directive thing. Maybe they have an Elorian Prime Directive. And screw Star Trek for making Elorians and Illyrians and things that are so close. Because you said Illyrian, but it's sorry. It's Elorian. Elorian. Yeah, so, like DeLorean, but Elorian.
Before we move on from Guinan, I just want to say she has lived through multiple timelines, right?
I don't know. Not that we know of. No, she exists like everybody exists in multiple timelines.
But she's aware of it?
She's aware. So there is an episode where a shift happens and the past is changed. And she is aware of, she has a subconscious awareness of the past or the present that changed. So she goes to the captain and she's like, I can't explain why, but this timeline is wrong. And everything we're doing now is wrong, and the thing you need to do is this to fix it. So and Picard's like, you got to give me more, and she's like, I can't give you more, but you have to trust me.
So yeah, it feels like she is aware of timelines and her presence in multiple places. And I think like, is it also okay to say that she has like in general a more non-interference approach?
Yeah, I think Elorians in general, she has so much knowledge that I feel like she knows that she could easily interfere and change things inadvertently. So it could be like a personal prime directive.
Yeah,
where it's like my knowledge of all of these potentials and what could happen and my sensitivity to time. If I don't shut up and listen, I could change things without even realizing I'm changing them.
Okay, so then I feel like that makes me understand more of why she's not just like at the front of the class going, okay, class, let's talk about the Borg today.
We go this way, we go this way. And there's also a selfishness to it. Like, whereas Q is ego, I don't think Elorians really have a huge ego. There's one we meet that you could argue has an ego, but Guinan, as a very singular example, doesn't strike me as somebody who has ego, because she never says, I told you so.
Right.
The way she
just kind of smiles at you.
She smiles at you. She has a very applicable story and then goes, do you know what that story was relating to? It was you.
So I feel like if this episode could have done anything additional to what it was doing already, is it maybe could have given us a little bit more of a flavor development profile of Guinan to give us more weight to her character. But I don't know that they had it all figured out. But
I don't think they did.
Upon reflection, like what we're looking at today, looking at this character, it's so interesting to just spend some time really digging into Guinan.
It's so great.
Because she's such a crucial part, again, of the balance of this episode, of giving us power, having us feel like we're not just thrown 7,000 light years into the future and having to spend 2 years to get back home.
That could have been a plot. Like 2 years compared to the 7. I kind of chuckle when they're like, it'll take 2 years to get home. And I'm like, laughs in Janeway. Like, that's nothing. Like, 2 years.
Oh, I had that same thought as well. Like, 2 years, no worries.
Well, you're fine.
Yeah.
The Enterprise, the original series, the Kirk's Enterprise was on a 5-year mission. Fuck it, let's go.
So those are really important things. I'm glad that we talked about them because it really changes and shifts like the whole episode, how Q is interacting with like Riker and Picard and Worf, that makes sense. But him with Guinan is new, and that made this episode unique. And then now, of course, we've got the Borg coming in, and we still have things going on, like a new person on the crew, in engineering too, that gets completely forgotten by the end of this episode, because who's ever going to remember that this episode, like we're going to forget Guinan is in this episode. This just becomes the Borg episode.
This becomes the Borg episode, yeah. And it's so easy to forget that Q did it. Guinan was a big part of it. And before we move on, you mentioned because I don't know if we'll return to it, you mentioned the tension building at the beginning of this episode. This has expert levels of tension building. Picard and the shuttle disappear. Like you said, tinkle, 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 tinkle music. Guinan, something sets off her spider senses when she's in 10 forward. And like she can either sense Q or like you said, a shift in the timeline is coming. She looks around. And what I love, the little lines that really, really help. She doesn't have to do anything dramatic. It's other people's reactions to Guinan. So she calls the bridge and everyone's like, fuck, Guinan called the bridge. Shit, red alert, battle stations. Yeah. That doesn't happen. Guinan stays in her box. And Riker's like, I don't remember you ever calling the bridge. What's up? Never mind. Probably just a feeling I've had it once or twice before. Oh, what do you mean you've had it once or twice before? Tell me. The next bit is back in 10 forward. LaForge and Gomez are having their like drink together in their powwow session. Guinan is on edge. Geordi senses it. Are you okay, Guinan? She's like, yeah, no, nothing. It's fine. Doesn't say anything, but Geordi says, yeah, I'm going to get to engineering.
Go.
That is such clever writing. Like, it's not waiting for the disaster to happen. People are heading to battle stations because they listened to Guinan because she doesn't do this unless it means something. And the reaction of the other characters lifts up Guinan's stature so much. Oh, it's so good.
Well, also, Deanna comes on. Where's the captain?
Whatever. Moving on to the next scene. I'm sorry. I love Deanna, but Guinan is a better version of Deanna in every episode. They have the same function. It's confusing to me. They do. Guinan is the ship's counselor. She absolutely is. Deanna is in her quarters, senses something is wrong, walks her ass up to the bridge, instead of going, blub, 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 hey, Riker, where's Picard? Tell me your thoughts about Deanna. Sorry, Deneé.
No, it's okay. You can hate one of my favorite characters. It's no problem.
I do not hate her. I hate what the show does with her. She's great. I hate that the show underutilizes her so much.
The difference between Deanna and Guinan is super fucking clear. Guinan's like, never mind. Deanna shows up and's like, where's the captain?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Guinan
she has
could
a bit
have
more
said,
oomph to it.
hey, is everybody accounted for?
But she doesn't know.
But she doesn't do
it's
that.
It's too vague. She doesn't know exactly what's wrong.
Exactly.
She knows something is wrong.
They're different people and they do different things. And Deanna was essential in figuring out the captain was gone.
Okay, I'll stand down from that one. But yeah, Deanna does set them on the path to the captain being missing. I always had a little problem with this. How they don't know that the shuttle and Picard is missing. Like how that isn't
it's
immediately...
Q.
And it is Q. It's
just
Q
you have
suppressing
to say Q.
everything.
Yeah.
Q turned off all of the buttons that set off alarms for them being missing. Fucking Q. Riker's little grin.
Yeah, the tension is nice because the tension's there and you think it's about Q, but it's actually probably more Borg-esque than they ever could realize. But the tension kicks off that there's something going on. The captain is gone. And you're like, oh, it's just Q and Picard are on a little fun mission and they're just going to have some good vibes. But it doesn't really get nasty and strange until we get through like all the annoying conversations with Q and then the Borg show up.
Oh my God, the Borg show up.
So can we get to that part?
Let's do it. Let's get to the Borg. Let's get to that part. The cube appearing on screen.
The cube.
Isn't it?
That would have been a great title for this episode. The letter Q and then B.
Oh, how did they not do that? How is this not called Cube? What the fuck, Star Trek?
That was last season of this episode or this podcast.
Oh shit. QBE.
Cube.
I wish I didn't know that. You know, there's facts that you can't unknow. I wish I didn't know that. What a missed opportunity. There's not many words that you can cue, and cube is probably the best of them.
That's pretty good, right?
That's amazing.
Cube.
Oh, sorry. That's probably better than anything I saw in this episode. And I love this episode. How did you feel when you see, obviously you know what the Borg are, but to see this cube, when Picard first says on screen, bam, cube.
Stardate 42761.9. Picard is compelled to investigate space before heading back despite being told to leave, is my note.
Yeah.
What a dumbass.
What? But it's the explorer in him. It's the arrogance that Q is talking about.
That is the arrogance.
That's the arrogance.
Okay, it's there. Data finds the industrial civilization that was force scooped, and they talk about it being identical to the neutral zone as you talked about. And then all of a sudden they're probed. And then you're just like, we're being probed. And it's on an intercept course. And then they go on screen. And my notes are just cube, magnify. Oh shit. They don't know what it is. I know what it is.
I know what that is, yeah.
And then they keep the shields down so we don't want to appear provocative. And I said, dumb Riker is dumb. That's so fucking stupid.
Also, but Guinan is dumb as well at this point. Like, she's intent forward looking at the cube. It should be communicator. Fucking run. Go, this is the thing.
Go now.
Killed my people.
But
everybody.
Again, we've decided that she's not an
leave.
Intervener. She's like, we've already decided that. But yes, that was a question I had. We've answered that one. So I'm going to let that be what it is. She's the observer. But then comes to trying to figure out what the cube thing is. They describe it that there's no command center, there's no bridge, there's no living quarters, there's no life signs. So this is when the viewer is like, well, this is interesting because this is nothing like what we've heard before already. Not only is it a cube in space.
Because, yeah, right. It is a cube in space.
This is also an unmanned cube in space. And they play on that again when they go into it as an away team, not realizing that they just don't have, like, even though there was one on their ship that didn't have a lifeline, like they had no life signs, they go running in there and realize that this is just something that they've never encountered before. So there's no weapons, there's no shield, and Picard hails, there's no reply. And so Guinan is watching the view screen and she's like, centuries ago, they destroyed cities. They scattered people through the galaxy. They're called the Borg. Protect yourself, Captain, or they'll destroy you. And finally, they put the shields up. Finally. So it is just an interesting introduction. You cannot just forget what you know about the Borg watching this episode. You just can't. No. So it's not like you're like, ooh, how interesting. You're like, oh shit, oh fuck, why aren't you doing things differently?
It ages so well because it still makes sense why the Borg don't take advantage of that. Because the Borg don't care. They don't ignore need it,
yeah.
You can put your shields up and we'll still overpower
doesn't matter.
You.
That's right.
Like, it doesn't, I'm not here to destroy you or to conquer anything. I've got to figure out if you're worth conquering to begin with and if you're worth bringing into the collective.
Yeah, and then we got this interesting shot of LaForge with the engine, and I'm like, ooh, this is pretty. And then the Borg come in
the background.
They just have an intruder. And this is such a strange part of this episode for me that I had completely forgotten. Like, it felt more like if somebody had just dropped off a really strange, I don't know. Okay, let's think of the comparison. So you're hanging out at home and everything's good. The crew of your house are all like symbiotic, and then someone pulls up in the driveway, and they just drop off a snake in the middle of your house and they leave. And you're just like, no one wants to touch it. No one wants to do it. You're observing this threat in the middle of your house. And that's what it felt like. It was like,
yeah, it's like a raccoon.
They're just watching.
Just came into that. I was like, the raccoon has a gun. I don't know how to deal with this. Does it know how to use the gun?
There's no containment field. There's no. Like, Geordi's just like,
we got an intruder.
We have an intruder. And
it's next to the warp core.
It's hanging out. And then it's like Picard and the security crew show up and they're just like, oh yeah, that's definitely an intruder.
Yeah, that's a problem. Well, there's your problem. It's one of those.
It just feels so weird, and I'm sure it's meant to because this is such a unique enemy that isn't responding. They're not talking back. They're adapting when they're shot with a cool like little shield that protects them.
I miss that shield so much.
There's just these unique things happening. Like they've got, it's just wild.
Like that in and
watch.
of itself is scary. A personal deflector shield is like, oh. Fuck. Shit. What our ship has, they've got one of those per person.
Yeah, we show that they're unique. We show that they got in without any trouble. We show that they're strong. Chat just reminded me of the moment when Picard is like, Worf. He goes, Picard starts talking to the Borg and says, we mean you no harm, and it ignores him. Q appears and says, you're nothing. He's not interested. He's a scout. He's going to take control of your ship. I wouldn't let him.
And
Picard goes, stop.
Yeah. Zap.
Borg starts interfacing with the ship.
Yeah.
And Picard goes, Mr. Worf. And I'm thinking Worf is going to go over there and fuck shit up.
Nope.
And what does Worf do? He goes, Ensign.
Just going down the line.
And then this other guy, he goes running forward and he just goes to push him. And the Borg is just like, whoop.
Bye.
So
through
they
the
now
deck
show
plate.
that they're also very strong. And so that's when Worf hits him with a
It
phaser.
it's not meant, it's
So
clearly
funny.
not meant to be funny. But it's
so
kind
funny.
of like Worf, and Worf's like, nope,
Ensign.
This one's you. It's your first day.
I would have thought that it would have been something that Worf would have been like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go.
mean,
But-
it's so funny, but
oh boy.
and then use whatever means necessary to disable him. But I like that they don't just beam him off the ship or them off the ship. They don't jettison them into space. Like Picard knows there's danger, but he also, what if there's like just a chance that Guinan is letting a bias overrule something and that Q is tricking them? Picard is still about first contact. He's like, I'm not going to shoot first. I'm going to talk because maybe we can talk. Maybe we can start off on the right foot. That's how important first contact is. But when it's clear that they're tapping into systems and things are flickering, okay,
It's
that's
like
aggressive
whatever
enough.
means
I have
necessary.
to do. Yeah,
he
we've
even
gotta-
says, he's like, whatever means necessary.
We've
get
got to
him
do
off.
something now.
But
Yeah.
it's just so strange because they're all like standing 4 feet away watching this angry raccoon bore into their ship, you know?
just nibble on things.
It's
like,
just
we mean
absolutely-
you no harm. I mean you harm. I want your cereal.
It's also interesting because now we have our first encounter with the Borg and how they operate. They have beamed directly to engineering. They've gone over to interface with the ship. One begins to turn the systems off. That one goes down. The second one appears with adapted abilities to
New
block
shields that
phaser
work.
fire,
Yes.
interphases, turns the power back on, and they both beam out. So they're very cleverly getting that everything kind of like where it needs to be so they can take better advantage of the ship later because they're just testing the system. They're tapping on the tree like, yep, there's some sap in there.
Yeah, they're just like, this is your phasers, this is your shield frequency, this
Cool.
is, and I like what that jumps ahead to. I don't want to leave this just yet, but what it jumps ahead to is when the Borg hail the Enterprise, and we know that you're not capable of defending yourself. Like,
Don't fight.
We know that for a fact because we just sent someone over, and we have all of we know how many torpedoes you have, we know their yield, we know your phaser strength, we know your shields, we know that you cannot resist us. And that's fucking
But they
scary,
don't say
dude.
resistance is futile.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. They didn't have that one locked in.
I don't know if I could have handled it. If
But
they would have said that on
in the-
episode 1, I think I would have just died.
I'm like, you've stacked the deck. Like, it's shit like that where I'm like, oh, this did come from logs
That's
in
when
the
the writers
future.
came back from their strike.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's when that happened. But you said that they both get beamed away. They don't. One gets beamed away, the other gets dissolved. So one picks up the pieces from the dead Borg, and then he gets beamed away. It's a different graphic.
What?
It's a different graphic for the dead Borg, and it's dissolved, which is why it leaves debris on the carpet. It leaves like a chalk, not a chalk outline, but a silhouette on the carpet because they dissolve the dead so that it can't, like, there's no use for that Borg anymore, but we also don't want to leave it behind. So they dissolve it.
Wow, I did not notice that.
It's really
I mean,
cool.
I definitely saw that, there was pieces being removed by the alive Borg.
It's a deliberately different graphic.
I went to the internet to look about this dissolving Borg.
Oh, okay.
Because in my brain, I wanted to kind of like look into it, and I think we need to look into this more. This isn't necessarily the answer, but I definitely think that as we continue with this season of Captain's Pod, we're probably going to be encountering Borg tech and how the Borg work more and more. And obviously this episode, they're still figuring it out. So the tech thief, the one that survived, is the Borg that, ignores everybody and takes the samples, and then it beams away normally in the effect. And then the research said that the one that was called the regenerator, which is the one that died essentially.
Right.
So they, it dematerialized.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's strange is that the effect, according to this very fast Google search, they had not finished the finalizing what the effects were going to be for beaming out and dematerializing or whatever the situation was. So it wasn't that it was dissolved. Canonically, I think they both went back to the Borg ship because one of them would have been reassimilated back in for parts. I don't think they would have just dissolved the whole thing. Like there's a couple parts that they took off, but I don't know. I think that they were still inventing the visual effects, though.
I think retroactively in canon they dissolved them because they mention it in a future episode that they don't they disintegrate their dead, and I'm sure it is. You're doing it in post, so I don't know why they would use a different effect unless it was to tell a story. It wasn't like two different teams were doing the effects.
I don't know.
So maybe in the script they didn't say that.
Right.
But when it came to the visual effects, I think it has a different sound effect as well. Like
I didn't notice as much, but I just can't imagine that they would just dissolve it into the carpet.
Why not?
I don't know.
It's of no use.
Because I would think that they would be dissolving them back on the ship where they could maybe get more
That's
parts and pieces.
a waste of energy. No, they took the parts and pieces that they need. Like at some point, it's cheaper to make the new bits than it is to transport them over.
I am not going to take my super fast Google search and put it against your Star Trek knowledge any day. I'm not doing that.
You would be undoing many decades of my headcanon. Well, 2 decades of my headcanon. Oh, that sounds
fun. Maybe I should try.
Quit it. Stop it. Before we move on again, there's just so much to talk about in this episode. You talked about the cube. I love that it's a fucking cube. Like, that just makes such a statement about the Borg's intentions. Because one of the rules in Star Trek is that you got to make the spaceship look cool. And it's got to look usually it looks a bit Starfleet. So it has a bridge section, it's got the nacelles, it's got the bits where the weapon fire out. We moan about like a lot of aliens looking like humans with little bits of attachments. But a lot of the ships are like, you all kind of follow the same sort of design model, even though in space design doesn't matter a huge amount aerodynamically. I love that it makes such a statement that the Borg are just like cube, sphere, diamond. Like they just make these geometric shapes that look so unwieldy in space. Like a cube, you wouldn't think that a cube flying through space could look cool at all. But the Borg cube is so fucking cool. And even when it's chasing the Enterprise, it looks cool. And it's just a cube flying through space. But I love that they broke the rules of what starships are in Star Trek, what aliens are in Star Trek, deliberately, like rules that they made up themselves. They made sure the Borg broke them by not having these defined sections in the ship. It's just a flying beehive in a cube. I love that.
And how much more stupid would it have looked if it was just a beehive?
Well, we have a snowflake. It would have been fine. We have a snowflake flying through space. It's okay. We did see 2 episodes back to back with your Dustbuster Phaser, Ambassador.
I love the Dustbuster Phaser.
Look at it. Worf shooting the Borg. The first phaser that attacks a Borg is a Dustbuster Phaser. How's that? Is it now that we have the conference with Guinan and we get a little bit more information before the Borg turn up again and say, yeah, we're going to assimilate you. We know we can outpower you. Don't worry about it. And then the tractor beam and the carving happens. I love this so much because they just ignore the shields and then they slice that section out of the Enterprise.
Yes. In that Guinan coming in and talking, we also have Deanna, who is a very capable and important part of the crew, say that they are collectively minded. And that is also an important part of the details of the Borg.
Thank you, Deanna. Thank you. A
single leader can make mistakes. It's less likely for them to make mistakes. So they're trying to kind of like figure out ways to tell us, the viewer, what we are looking at here. In fact, throughout this entire episode, you'll hear people say, can you describe it to me? Which is basically like, will you read me the script and describe it a little bit more?
Will you please give me some exposition? I mistakenly said that the Borg want to assimilate them. They do not say that.
They don't say that.
They just say to surrender.
They want them to, we have analyzed your defensive capabilities. If you defend, you will be punished, is what they say. And I'm like, punished? That's not the word assimilated.
Nope.
But they come out with a red alert. The beam is draining their shields. The warp in any heading engaged, just warp into a wall and get the fuck out of here.
Not any heading. There's a few on that sphere that you don't want.
And then they beam, like they start to scoop out part of the ship. It looks so badass.
It looks so great. And that's physical effects. You can see the decks, the walls, the quarters. I think if you pause, you can see a fucking chair that's in one of the quarters. And then I love that. What you don't see is any bodies.
I think Riker says they're carving us up like a roast.
Carving us up like a... Does he say Thanksgiving roast?
No, I think he says just roast.
Just a roast.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because we're so close to Thanksgiving in our life, I'm sure that like, yeah.
18 dead. Immediately the stakes change. And did you notice Picard's demeanor change as well?
Everything shifts when the people die.
Shifts.
And he is pissed, and I love it.
Yeah,
like,
you do.
let's go. He says, whatever force, fire when ready, and they begin to fire on the ship, and the beam does go down, and instead of fucking leaving, they board the fucking goddamn Borg cube. And I am like...
Best reaction from Guinan ever. Like, she doesn't get angry or passionate. I don't see her get angry in many episodes, but she just goes, what? Like, she yells at Picard because she's like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was really interesting because they're back in, he goes, conference. Like, yeah, everybody in the conference room, we need to have a chat. This is when, so the damage report was when they got the 18 casualties. Then he's pissed, and then he wants to know the condition of the alien ship, and that 20% of the ship is damaged. That's a pretty good portion of the ship.
So, and that's my like defense for Picard, is that by all external ideas, this is a minimally personed ship. Maybe they don't have physical bodies other than like the little drone that came over. Maybe they only have a few of those. They appear to have disabled it in a really, really fundamental way. And like they said, Riker said, this might be the only opportunity we have to study.
Who fucking cares? Let's get out of here.
You're gonna care in 2 years when they come back, or a year and a half.
I guess so. So Sonya and LaForge are talking about reprogramming to get the shields back on, and she's like really struggling with the idea of people having died, and it's like kind of one of a few moments in the episode where they're trying to give gravity to the loss of life.
Yeah, let it sink in, because it didn't happen often in TNG or TOS. Like a red shirt would die on an away mission, but 18 in one go.
Yeah. And then Picard, then we're back in the ready room, and Picard is basically saying, we need more information. And she's like, well, they're made of organic and artificial life developing for thousands of centuries. Fucking, why didn't you say that before, Guinan?
Right.
And then Q says they're the ultimate user. What an interesting way to describe the Borg. Unlike any threat ever faced, they're not interested in wealth, political power, just ship and tech. Something that they can consume. They don't say assimilate yet. So, interesting.
User. It is a testament to, and this is one of the main reasons I think Star Trek ages so bloody well and is so enduring. They are careful most of the time with the words that they use. So they didn't like mention something that would date it. Like, I can't even think of an example, but saying user is in a technological term would have been pretty new in 1989.
Yeah.
So they are a user of technology, a user of what you have.
It was kind of like a video game. Like it felt like a gamer, like somebody who's playing a game, who's using like tech or whatever.
And they mentioned like AI at the beginning of the episode as well. Like there's so much Sonya says there's so much artificial intelligence in the ship. Why not combat that with a little bit of humanity and being polite? Which I had to look straight at you as the person who talks to ChatGPT and has a conversation and has like a catch up and a cup of tea first.
I appreciate you.
Before getting into the actual conversation.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
That has aged that has aged better than they could ever have predict imagined. With how AI is happening now.
And the exocomps that are coming.
And the exocomps and the dehumanizing that can happen with AI. And again, like Star Trek predicting future technology. I didn't make the connection that AI was going to be one of them, but yeah, so good.
Also, so this is when there's an interesting decision to go to the... I'm really upset by this because when they scan, like I mentioned, they scanned the Borg when the Borg raccoon was down in engineering and he didn't have a life form, I don't believe at that time, because I remember thinking, you already know they don't have a life form. Why would you assume that they're not filled with that same kind of a drone, by going over there?
Yeah,
it was
fair.
Really, really frustrating to me. It felt careless. It felt like this is a huge enemy. When do we ever see them being like, you know what? We've disabled this ship. Let's go ahead and beam on board and just see what's over there. Like it was so cuckoo bananas. But
I don't know. I can make an argument for it because
I know. But I was really frustrated by that because it's just stupid.
It does seem dangerous, but also it's coming. Like running, if this is an opportunity to gather information, like Riker's like, they paid us a visit. We
send a fucking drone.
Okay, fair. They should send drones.
But,
yes, not people. For
a brief moment, Q does appear as they're talking, and he's like, Riker says, you brought us here and you exposed us to them and you have cost us lives. And as if we need another reason not to like Q, he's like, oh, please.
If you can't take a little... I know he doesn't say this now, But later on, he was like, if you can't take a bloody nose, maybe you should go home and hide under your bed. That's his attitude to
Picard pleads in that moment. He's like, please tell us this is a ruse. Tell us our people have died. Tell us that this is one of your games. And Q's like, this is real, and leaves. He is so horrible. So then LaForge pings in and he's like, yeah, the shields are ready. And Worf says, hey, the casualties are ready. And rather than take a moment on screen to just show them and like everyone take a moment.
They don't have a moment, Deneé.
But don't they?
They don't.
Picard's like, assemble. He's like, no, we'll get to that later. Assemble a minimal away team. And that's when Guinan's like, what? She is so pissed. She is so pissed.
A rare reaction from Guinan.
My notes are, Guinan is pissed. Deanna is worried. I am dumbfounded. These people are stupid. That's my notes.
I can see it. But I mean, it paid off. Like, they got some valuable information.
Yeah. So let's talk about beaming over the Borg ship. How fucking cool was this?
I am blown away. The Borg ship, it's what we see in Voyager. It's what we see in the movies. They add some fluff to it. But the HR geegeriness of all of it, the alien aesthetic, as in Alien the movie, the regeneration alcoves, that is what the Borg internal ships look like now for the most part. Like, so much of this design was fleshed out and kept moving forward. It's so, so good.
Yeah. The whole time I'm like, this looks really cool. Why are you here? So this was a very conflictive part of this episode for me.
It's so scary.
It is the buildup of that ominous feeling. Like, what a great episode to make you feel scared and then put you in the middle of them. And guess what? The encounter is going to be really uncomfortable because you're beaming right next to a whole bunch of them that are just in stasis and you didn't know it. And guess what?
Scary.
One of them wakes up and walks past you and doesn't even acknowledge you. And isn't that fucking freaky? It is freaky. And guess what? There's also babies.
Yes. It's freaky. It's so great. It's freaky because nothing is happening. It's like when you've knocked something over and you're like, the parents are going to know. And then they come into the room and they don't say anything. And like, do they know? Do they know that I broke the thing? And then it's like, that is more scary than them coming in and saying, why did you break the thing? Like the anticipation of being like ignored and not knowing when the other foot is going to drop is so, so clever. And just to have we've seen a Borg come over, ignore phaser fire and like do some scanning stuff. They've just killed 18 members of the crew and then carved up the Enterprise. And now they're just ignoring them because they have something better to do.
Yeah. We learn important things here about the Borg.
Riker's line, is they either don't see us or don't see us as a threat. And that's such an efficient way of describing the situation. I love that.
The readings were incorrect. The Borg survived and they're in stasis. Explain. Okay, well, there's some slots in a wall and there's some tube. And it's so funny. And I'm like, just take a picture.
Yeah. Tricorder. Scan it with the tricorder.
Here we are in 1998, not 1999, 2022. And they don't know about smartphones. They don't know that we're all going to have cameras in our pocket. You know,
they've all got contact lenses that take pictures in the future.
But how do you not think about like just scanning something and sending it over? But it is interesting that in this moment when they're on the Borg cube, we are explained verbally. And I think it's a good thing to do, is to try to be like, let me help the audience at home understand what they're seeing, because it's a lot. There's a lot to look at. But when the Borg walks by Data, like I was mentioning earlier, he's like, fascinating. They don't see us as a threat was definitely mentioned, but Data also discovers that the connections that are made for Borg, the tech is beyond their capability and the ship thinks what it wants and it happens. Yeah. Which is super scary.
It's so scary. It's so efficient. And Riker is right. One of the most obvious advantages is speed. Like there's no debate. There's no conference. It's just, it happens and they have this singular goal. It's so efficient. It's so scary and it gets shit done.
And then to really make it bad, to really make it feel horrible, the Borg that's ignoring them walks back by and Riker looks out and the camera pans back.
Oh, it's so good.
And we get to see the scope and scale, or a little glimpse of the scope and scale of a Borg cube from the inside. And it is so good.
It's so good.
Like
and
the dread that you feel, it then becomes hopeless. Like you need to leave.
Yeah, it's huge. This place, what you're seeing on this one catwalk, multiply. It's huge. And it's rare that we go inside an alien ship so early. Like it's so rare that we get the inside of a Klingon, Romulan, Ferengi ship. And in episode 1, we're getting the inside.
Yes.
And the Borg alcoves, like, that's what they look like. They've been modified a little bit, but that's what they look like with the green flashy
little green
bits
flashy
behind.
bit on behind that you used to be able to buy at the mall.
Yes, I had one. That matte painting, because they have the film and then they superimpose Worf and Riker's bit onto the painting. That matte painting is incredible. It is so good. They literally said, artist, this is what we want. Draw it.
Copy paste.
So that matte painting is incredible. And to superimpose them into it, I'm just like, I want this in my TV shows now. Like, I just give me less technology. I love it so much.
The next bit of information that they discover after realizing that they are on a huge Borg cube is the incredible Borg nursery. Which, if I was to ever just be a bajillionaire, let's just say, and I created like a little, like a theme park, you know, with, and it was all Star Trek, you know, somehow the owners of Star Trek, IP and I are like BFFs in this imaginary future. And let's say that like you can drop off your kids at daycare and like just the parents can go out. And it would be like it would be called the Incredible Borg Nursery.
And all of the kids are just left in alcoves.
And it looks like the interior of a Borg cube. And like, yeah, if you want to have like a little nap, you just pop out the thing out of the wall, like a little trundle bed, and you just go down inside. And then like you have a little eye mask that comes down. It makes you look like you've been, you know, artificial intelligence has been linked directly into the brain. But we do find out that the Borg are born as a bio life form and immediately begin artificial implants. And
do we though?
That's what he says, at least in this episode. Riker says this is what's happening. He does this assessment by pushing a button and watching a baby pop out of the wall.
He makes such a leap here. And I don't hold it against, because that's never really been a thing. Like what we now know is that they will assimilate creatures of all shapes and sizes. And if they're not adults yet, they'll be put into maturation chambers, incorporated with technology until they reach maturity, and then they come out. There is no evidence that the Borg actually make babies themselves. So yeah, he makes a big summation about what happens, that apparently the Borg are a biological life form that then have technology added to them.
I don't know. So that's not true. Have they just stolen babies? Is that what this really is?
No, they've just stolen babies and assimilated them.
They're stealing babies.
Yeah, they're stealing babies. Yeah.
So at some point in the last, that baby was probably 5 months old. In the last however many months, they just stole a baby. They've just been stealing babies. Yeah. Okay.
We don't know that it's human because they can't scan the life signs. So it could be any species that looks kind of human. We don't know. But it's as far as we know, that is a baby that has been assimilated.
Here's what we actually know.
Which is fucking dark, by the way.
Here's what we actually know. Somebody said, what if the Borg also have babies in a little drawer? And the producers are like, yep.
Can we do that?
That's what we actually know.
Someone in the corner said, it's 1989. Yes, we can still do that.
Yeah. The next thing we learn is that the ship is regenerating from the inside. Data is scanning the walls and he's like, oh, like the ship is alive. It is regenerating and it's not taking notice to our presence because its power is being used to regenerate.
It's busy doing something else.
And Picard's like, finally, let's fucking go.
Finally, he catches up to where you've been for the last 2 scenes.
I mean, I'm just like, yes, let's go. Are you kidding me?
Get him out of there. Let's go.
Yeah, he says, get the hell out of here. Warp 8. And they begin to fly away. And then we get to have the Warp 8.8 and the Warp 9.65.
Oh, I love it. I love a slow build.
You know you love it. I know you do.
We're missing this from modern Star Trek. It's just press a button and go. But with the Enterprise D, it was a struggle bus to get up to 9. And they're so proud. They're just like 8.9.
We're going.
9.1.
We're doing
9.2. And then when it gets too high, it's like 9.45. 9.456.
It's like if we got into an old Oldsmobile, like we just got a car that was built in the 60s and we take it on the highway and we're like starting off at 45 miles an hour and we're like, we're at 50. And like it's a 70 mile per hour goal and we're like, we're getting there.
We're getting there. This is why I love Back to the Future. 88 miles per hour. That slow build up to the target speed. I was talking for it.
Can I tell you about the scariest part of this episode for me?
Yeah, please.
It is that they warp the fuck out of there. Okay. And the ship had just been sitting there empty in space, not moving. It's not doing anything. It's just like kind of, I guess regenerating. No big deal, but we're getting away. And the feeling is like, good, we're gone. And then it says the Borg are in pursuit and it goes on screen and it's just right fucking there.
Bam.
It is not even like that is so scary to me.
It's so scary. This huge cube.
And it was like, it was dead a minute ago.
Yeah.
And not only is it alive, it's not limping along. Oh, no. It is catching up. And then they do that zoom in thing and they see it actually repairing itself. Oh,
I love it. We found a spaceship thing that Deneé likes.
What I don't like, and this is one of the examples that I was talking about earlier with Q saying things that are really infuriating because he did it. He says they will follow you until you're worn down and are theirs, and you should have stayed where you belong. And the thing is Q sent them there. That makes no fucking sense. And that's the part where maybe the writer's strike is at play here. Because it's like, don't say that.
I feel like he
sent them there.
True, but I feel like there's a more kind of a broader thing that he's speaking to, which is you should have stayed in your lane. Like, not necessarily you should have stayed back there and then I snapped you. You should have stayed in Earth, stayed in the solar system. Don't keep exploring. You're not ready to be explorers. Like, this is what's out here. I feel like that's what he's getting at.
Yeah, it's just poor writing because it's
it's a little bit confusing.
I can dismiss it so quickly because it's like, Q, you did that. You fucking did that.
But I love that rant. I really do enjoy him. The points where Q turns up to remind us that he did this and he did this for a reason, I really like.
I do too. The Borg ship starts firing and draining their shields. Yeah. We start launching torpedoes. How do you feel about this space battle? Like, to me, it just looks like our beloved Enterprise is just rolling a couple of like Rubik's Cubes out of the back or something, not Rubik's Cubes, like the little, the everlasting gobstopper like sort of thing. It's just like, that didn't look that impressive. And maybe that's the point, is that they're so meek compared.
That is really budget. Like I always remember listening to this audio commentary of a TNG episode and they were talking about like, this was the most expensive TNG episode we made because of the phaser fire. And each phaser fire costs, I think in $1989, $3,000 for each beam.
Wow.
So each time you do it, you are ramping up, and they're not at $1 million an episode budget yet.
Right.
They don't even know if they're getting a season 3 levels of budget. So that is purely, in my head, it makes no sense. Fire all the fucking torpedoes, constant phaser fire, keep going.
Right. It's an emergency situation, but it's like, okay.
Purely budgetary. Yeah.
Is it possible that if the Borg had not been that intriguing that we wouldn't have a season 3? Did this give us season 3?
I can't answer that, but I don't think so. Okay. I think it's way more than that.
Okay.
It's way more.
Because it is their attempt at going, we need to have an ominous enemy out there in the world.
We'd have Firefly season 2. Like, if it was purely down to, they did something creative, let's develop that, then we would have so many more seasons of television. I'm way more cynical. I think it was, there's enough IP here, there's enough of a following, let's give this another season and see what happens. Now, the cliffhanger for I think the quality of season 3, I think that maybe does lead to the rest of TNG as we know it.
Gotcha. Before we move on to the next part, the regeneration, like when they zoom in on the side of the Borg cube and we see it regenerate, the comment that was in the chat was, how do they even do that effect in 1989? And Wandering said, the things were made of plastic. They melted them with a blowtorch and they had room to do about 5 of these. Then they put the footage in reverse and they explained that on the commentary track. So thank you for adding that bit because it looks really cool.
I knew it was playing in reverse because you can tell there is this uncanny valley about how the metal moves. And I'm like, that's being played in reverse. I'm sure of it. That's really fun to have that.
It's really,
confirmed.
really fun.
It's a great effect. It's really fucking creepy as well, the ship repairing itself. I love the chase. One of my favorite things is the Enterprise being chased by a Borg cube. Because it is so scary. It's not often you see the Enterprise running from a fight. And it is just relentless. And that's what Q says. Like, they're not going to stop. They'll wear you down. They'll drain your resources. And they're not even going to bat a Borgy eyelid at it.
We get to the culmination of like the tension buildup. I mean, obviously the Borg, we've established the Borg will be taking over the Enterprise. We as a viewer feel that doom is imminent, and Q is on the bridge, just leaning casually, being a dick, pointing out that you can't outrun, you can't destroy, and if you destroy, they'll just regenerate. They are relentless. And it's just like, what's going on here? What is it? Where is your stubbornness, your arrogance? Do you profess to be prepared for what awaits you? Which I think is the point of Q in this episode. He's wanting to press that Picard is not ready.
You said you could handle it.
You said you could handle it. They were thinking about another photon detonation, but it could destroy the Enterprise. And Q is just like, okay, I'll be leaving. I think you can handle it. Bye. And that's when Picard hooks him back in. Good. And he says, if we did, you won't be able to, if we die, you won't be able to gloat. And it causes him to just stop for a second. But then he said, if you want to frighten us, we're frightened. If you want us to be inadequate, okay. And if you want us to need you, I need you.
Seeing
and
Picard,
then he snaps. Ugh.
It's the snap. I mean, the snap that got us here. Q's line is, no, Picard says like, your help is not required. Q gets pissy and then snap. The Enterprise is just yeeted away, like, and Guinan screaming no at the same time because she's like, I know what that snap means. It's not going to be anything good.
Yeah, you've provoked a god.
Yeah, he doesn't need to actually snap his fingers to make his powers work, but it's such a punch. And then the power of the snap spinning them back home as well.
So it is a good bookend because he's like, we don't need you, we've got this. Yeah. And then the bookend at when things are reversed is, I do need you.
The exact opposite phrase that Picard said that got them into the
twisted.
That's so twisted. It's so twisted.
Because here's the thing. This
you need me.
Q the abuser
that's an abusive relationship
into the situation and made himself be needed.
Yes.
And then wants you to say, I need you. And to gain power back, you're like, I actually don't need you. And then he put them in that position. And so of course we're going to say we need you, but then it just reaffirms the bully. Like Q is just such
he's such a dick. Are you afraid of snakes? Not really. Then he throws a snake at them. It bites him. And then I've got the anti-venom. Like, are you afraid of snakes now?
Yeah, it's weird. Tell me you need me.
But so how did you feel when you saw Picard? Like, because Patrick Stewart.
He's so good.
Him saying, we're scared and I need you. Like the way he delivers those lines, he doesn't have to say it twice. He doesn't have to have it goaded out of him by Q. Picard volunteers that. And I get it. I get the fear from him. Like, that's a very vulnerable moment for Picard. That's probably his first really vulnerable moment in the show.
Seeing Patrick Stewart be passionate about anything is exciting because I love how he performs and how he does, like, even like his little gestures, the way that his hand will move or the way that he just decides to tilt his head. It all seems like really intentional. And we know that he's classically trained. He is theater trained. And so it kind of feels like if Star Trek needed anything, it was like that actor that could really bring a new dimension.
100%.
He's not holding back in this moment because he's usually like restrained. He's usually like really intentional and composed. And this is an emotional rawness, and it's like this unleashing power of this turmoil that he has been placed inside of, this impossible moment when he knows his crewmen are actually dead. He's really been put into position, and he's prostrating himself before this god going, I don't care what I don't care what it's going to make me look like.
Whatever it takes.
I'll do whatever it takes to for you, to help us. So it was really powerful. Like, I kind of don't see this episode ending any other way. We had to have Q intervene in that bookend. It's a Q ex
machina that works. Yeah. It has to. And I think it works because he put them there. So it's not like Q turns up to save the day in a hopeless situation. Q created this. So I don't feel any amount of eye rolling that Q snaps his fingers and fixes everything. And I think having the dead 18 crew members is part of that. Knowing what happens next with the Borg helps with that as well, because there are consequences to the Enterprise being saved in this moment as well. So, and that's why I love the bookend scene with Guinan, just affirming that, yes, Q may have actually done you a solid, that he's brought this encounter much sooner than it happened, than it was supposed to happen. But they were coming. Like, 7,000 light years to the Borg is round the corner. Like, They were coming, and now you do actually have a bit of time until they get here, even though they're getting here quicker than they ever should have done.
Well,
and that just sets up, like, we know they're coming. And that's the first time TNG did that and then delivered on it.
I think it hits really, really good because the chess game, like there's just this subtlety kind of downshift that you have to do. This was such a big buildup, and then you kind of needed to have some bookends because they're going to leave you unnerved too. This doesn't have a perfect ending.
No.
Where the Borg are like shaking hands and they've made a new, friend. This is an ominous, like, dun dun dun, to be determined, we'll be back.
Starfleet gets an Enterprise, and Picard gets a kick in their complacency, which is, it is fun because they are, like, the Enterprise is the dominant ship of the dominant power. So yeah, it's really smart to introduce something else.
It is. The kind of final moments on the bridge with Q are interesting to me too, because he changes place with Riker, which is an interesting thing to do. He's not changing place with the captain. He just loves Picard and he wants to be as close to him as possible. So he can't have Guinan's position, but he shifts Riker away. And we know that he was kind of like hoping that Riker was going to become a Q or something, get out of his way.
Yeah,
anyway.
right.
So, and I kind of love how Riker just sort of looks so annoyed, like, oh, I'm over here. Like, you know what I mean?
I've been moved. I hate it. As a person who hates being moved, you can relate to that.
And Q says, another man have been humility to say these words and ask for help. Picard says that the lesson could have been learned without the loss of a crew. And he replies, like a total ass, if you can't take a bloody nose, go home and crawl under your bed. It's not safe here.
It's
like, oh
brutal.
my God.
Oh my gosh, brutal. Like, yeah, I guess in the context of the crew, 1.5% of them going away isn't huge, but still, dude.
And I think that's maybe the show's attempt at letting the audience know that things are going to get serious, that they're shifting away from things being so cut and dry and kind of getting more dirty and raw and gritty. And maybe that's what the show needed to push them into the next sort of era of Star Trek.
Yeah, there are stakes in this show now. It's not entirely one episode memory.
I do have another question about Guinan, because we talked about how she would say that, that we've met them sooner because we leave the bridge and then we go to the chess game. She says, when it's ready, it's possible to establish a relationship, but right now it's like a raw material exchange. But they're now aware of your existence. And then we move on to, oh, they're coming, dun, 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 end of episode. They're all alive for now, except for the 18. This is crazy to me.
Go on.
Because the relationship part, they didn't know that there was going to be a 7 of 9. They didn't know that there was going to be, like, in Picard, with like the Agnes.
The Jurati Collective.
Yeah. It's just this simple little line. When the time, like when ready, it's possible to establish a relationship, which is insane because Picard will do what he can to protect that possibility.
Always, almost always.
And it's almost like if she hadn't said that line, I wonder if it would have just been shoot first, ask questions later with the Borg from here on out.
I mean...
And it kind of is, but I think he's always reaching, I
love that it comes from Guinan, the one who has been hurt the most by the Borg. Is still very level about it. And yes, maybe she has some distance from the disaster now, but the fact that she is the one that says there may be chance for peace and talking is so powerful.
It is, because she has an insight that is now at the same level as someone like Q. We have her in this episode rising to this foreknowledge, this insight, this destiny, this whatever it is, this timeline knowledge that makes us think like Guinan isn't just being somebody at the bar going, pat, pat, buddy, it's going to be okay. But like, pat, pat, buddy, wait for tomorrow at 2 p.m. when something arrives at your door.
Yes, exactly.
She's got more weight to her character. So this
really
episode does a lot. It does a lot. It's heavy. It's serious. It's raw. It's emotional. It's like unnerving. It's unique. And it's not like the fun, we're going to turn into de-evolved versions of ourselves episode.
There's always time. What I love as well is there is a little bit of insight that we get into Q being an explorer as well, and a bit of his personality that is relatable when he talks about the galaxy, saying it's wondrous with treasures to satiate desires both subtle and gross, but it's not the timid. That's genuine. That's true. It's like, Picard, continue. Yes, I get it. I know why you're exploring, but don't be so cocky about it. Like, there is just this little element where I'm just like, maybe he was actually going to help, because Picard's confidence at the very beginning, Q says, you may not trust me, but you need me. And Picard's like, of course we don't know what's coming. How can we? But we know we're ready for it. And Q's like, really? And he's like, yes, absolutely. How that is so arrogant. Like, I agree with that. You cannot be ready for what you don't know.
Okay, hold on a second. I don't agree with that. What does be ready mean? Like, you have to realize that we are as ready as we will ever be to face what comes.
I think part of being ready is acknowledging that you're not ready.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree.
I'm not saying you stop, but he's just like, we're ready, we can handle whatever it is. You've got to have the possibility of the Kobayashi Maru, where maybe there is something I can't handle that I can't do.
Or we are as close to ready as we know how to be. I guess the confidence that Picard has in that.
It irks me when I hear him say it.
Really? I love it. I love to see someone so confident. It is biased in a way where you can say we're ready for anything, and then when you get there, you can have a speech about how we're now more ready for anything. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing about Picard's character, is that he has that ability to take what's happening and inspire his crew to continue to get better. I don't know that that's arrogance. I think that's just a way of inspiring people to believe that they are ready.
Yeah, I know. I'm always going to lean on the side of a bit of humility, where like, yes, you can be confident and excited, but it's so dangerous to assume you're right and to assume you know it.
I don't think he assumes he's right. I think he assumes he's ready to handle what comes. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that like, it's just an opinion. It's just an opinion thing. I do agree that sometimes when you're around somebody who is like, claims to always be ready and be right, it's really frustrating and annoying.
Yes, it is.
But when you're the captain of a ship in the middle of the great expanse of space, and I think inspiring the way that Picard inspires his crew to keep going and to believe that they are ready and that they can think outside of the box and that they're capable of handling whatever comes their way, doesn't mean it's going to go well. He never says that. He just says we're ready.
Yeah, I guess that's a good part of it. He also has to project this confidence to the crew as well.
He does, and maybe he believes it himself. Like, he has a great crew of people. He's got good people around him. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. I think what the show is doing is it's taking a dig at humanity always thinking that you're right, or one side always thinking that you're right, or one side, I think they're just trying to like ask those questions and also introduce a really unique character.
I think it's great. It's a great way to do it. And pairing his confidence with the thing that kicks them in their complacency is really great.
How do you want to land this ship, Captain?
Okay, there's one other Gomez in the room that we haven't talked about. Give me, before I tell you the story, give me your thoughts about Ensign Sonya Gomez and how obvious it felt that she was being introduced in some fashion. Or did you not pick up on that? Did you just see her as disposable engineer number 4?
100% disposable. I don't remember this character at all. So
you should not. She's only in 2 episodes.
I think like for some reason, this is just the episode that she's introduced on. Her presence in this episode is probably unnecessary to a certain degree. Like, I don't know what she added. There was the moment when she was talking about the humanity of losing lives, like really like remembering how important that is. And she's fangirling about how excited she is to be there. So maybe it was an experiment with adding in a new character that just didn't fly. I don't know.
So Sonya Gomez was meant to be a recurring character. She only returns once more, but she was supposed to be in a lot more episodes. She was going to be Geordie's love interest. She was going to be a partner for Geordie.
What happened?
Apparently, they didn't tell them that. They didn't tell the actors that. So in this episode, there was like, they didn't get the chemistry because LeVar and I forget the actor that plays Sonya Gomez, but they didn't play it as if they were going to be getting together. It was more like a mentor-mentee thing. They had no idea that there was going to be a romance thing. And apparently the producers at the time didn't think the chemistry was working. There's also, I read, because I did a bit of a deeper dive into this, apparently the actor didn't know she was going to be coming back, so she cut all of her hair off. And they didn't like that either, because it changed the character too much, apparently. So that combined with new producer Rick Berman turning up in season 3, they completely got rid of Gomez because the idea was she was a love interest for Geordie and was going to convince him to do a really dangerous eye surgery to get rid of his visor. And Rick Berman hated the thought of Geordie not having his visor. So they killed that and killed Gomez's love interest and her appearance entirely. So she disappears. So it's one of these weird, what could have been with Star Trek from season 2, but the changes in powers just nix that idea entirely. So she's given way more lines than an extra would usually be given. And then it feels weird because we don't really see her anymore.
Oh, that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, really interesting.
Okay, well,
That's why she feels bigger in this episode than she ends up being.
Yeah. It was a very frustrating experience for me because the lines are inadvertently very demeaning for a female character.
Yes.
Which is normal to see in content, especially content in the era of me growing up and the era before me. It's definitely getting a lot better. I don't really have the same triggers with female lines. Like Strange New Worlds has been really refreshing because
yes, very powerful.
The women are just doing their jobs, and there's not lines like, "Wow, you sure are confident for being a woman," basically.
Why not? What's wrong with being confident?
Or
I mean,
like,
he does say
wow,
for like a cadet, like just coming out of the academy, but yeah, I don't know how much of this attention he's giving to the male members of his team that have just joined.
Yeah, let me see if I can find. There was a couple of lines that were really, really infuriating for me. Now that we're asking about her.
Yeah, let's do it.
First one. Geordie says, "For someone who just arrived, you weren't shy with your opinions." And she says, this is coming out of her mouth, "Do I talk too much?" And I'm just like, oh God. So
quiet,
it's an
pat.
insecure young woman joining the Enterprise, questioning everything that she's doing.
Yeah.
And then I was really confused about like Geordie being like, "No, sir, this is my fault." And he said it twice. "No, sir, the chocolate on your shirt is my fault.
I must take full responsibility."
The first thing he says is, he says, "It's my fault, sir." And Picard says, "Indeed."
Indeed.
And I'm like, what?
Yes, I think I understand,
Okay.
Chief Engineer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, understand what?
What do you understand?
So the subtext, I guess, is that he likes her, and that's what they were trying to write in. Maybe.
No, I think it's more that this is an energetic cadet that has had an unfortunate encounter. Like, I think he's putting the pieces together that she has some nervous energy, and that's to explain for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, why are they even allowed to make hot chocolate in engineering?
Right.
If
that should be disabled.
They just disable it. Like, it shouldn't be able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
It should be for like engineering parts, not food.
Geordie says, "You're young to be so driven."
When else are you going to be driven?
Wait, what?
That's the point of being young, is that you can be driven.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. But there was all of that made like the relationship apparently just seem a bit off. But
well, she started to kind of go on about how she wanted to be the best so she could get on the ship.
Yeah, she wanted to be on the
really wants to
Enterprise.
be there. I think it would have been interesting if they did dig a little bit more into that young woman character who is busting her ass to make it to the best ship and then just keeps fucking up. But the idea that you kind of point out like, oh, am I talking too much? It's like you're kind of like wanting to play into what you think the audience is going to be annoyed by, which is an exuberant young woman on the ship. So I don't know.
She is Boimler before Boimler was cool.
But I will say, as she was kind of jabbering on about why she's there, she kind of gets a little apologetic. And then Geordi says, no, it's okay. Go on, which kind of had that soft, subtle tone.
Yeah, because she calls him Geordi.
Yes. And so in my notes, I write cue sexy music.
There we go.
But there wasn't any. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe this is just like they're not going to do that. So it's so interesting for you to say that they were going to be going for that relationship. Cause I felt it. I felt like they were kind of starting to press in it. So she goes on I liked her approach to it, and maybe her lines in this episode are important because it maybe is the seed of Picard's dedication to what he's doing. She's like, we're the first to see it. I want to be part of the first to see it and to understand it. And that is part of Picard too. So it's sort of like the next generation's next generation in a way. And Geordi's like, hey, relax. You're here. You made it. You're not going to get far if you start banging into walls. So, and she's like, okay. And then they start to go down the hallway. And he's like, I promise to tell you if anything exciting happens. And then he doesn't. He never tells her about the Borg.
He doesn't. And
she finds out later.
And he very quickly puts her off the ship and we never see her again.
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. Which just tells you, ladies, we can't talk a lot or we'll be booted off of the ship.
Where is that boot button?
Exactly.
Ambassador, give us some pips.
Oh, this is a 4-pipper for me.
It's a 4-pipper. We don't need to talk about that much. It's incredible.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of really good things here. And I think for being on a budget, they did a really great job of introducing such a unique enemy.
Completely agree. Love it. Great start to the season. I love kicking off with this episode because it speaks into the best of both worlds so importantly and so much. I think it would have felt strange to do next week's episode without this one as the precursor. Where are we going to do some emails, Ambassador?
I mean, we're going to go to the baby chamber.
I was going to go to the section that gets sucked out of the ship.
Oh, yes.
Decks like deck 24, sections 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Let's go to the carved roast section.
The carved roast section of the ship. You're going to hear anything because we're in space. Okay, hailing frequencies open, everyone. It's time for us to read your messages from Discord, Twitch, and, email. Just 2 this week. I just had beautifully nerdy, and it's like the reason that we're in this portion of the ship as well, from Paulie on the Discord. I didn't get a chance to watch again, but isn't this the one where the Borg take a perfect, beautiful core sample of the saucer section? I have issues with that. The emitter would cut not a cylinder, but a cone whose point would translate to the emitter itself. So it couldn't pull it forward, it would have to push it out. So we see a cylinder, but how did it cut the bottom of the cylinder? If you're going to pull a core sample out, it has to dig a cone in where the tractor beam or the cutter beam attenuates to a point, and then it can pull it out. It shouldn't have pulled out a cylinder.
I love this email because it has reminded me that I did not talk about this. How did they put that part of the ship back together? Or did they not? Is that where the 18 people died and then it's just...
Yeah, that's where the 18 people died. And then they have force fields and emergency bulkheads. Yeah.
And so then they go to the starbase to repair.
Exactly, to get that bit. Imagine turning up and there's no context. And the starbase is like, how the fuck do you lose 3 sections of 4 decks
in a
perfect cylinder that weirdly should be a cone? So I love that from Paulie. That's amazing. This is a very relevant email, this next one, as opposed to the irrelevant emails. Sorry, I don't know. That was a weird way of saying that. This is from Wesley, and they specifically say Knot Crusher. Hi.
Damn it, Wesley!
Exactly. Hi, folks. I've been listening to Captain's Pod for years and absolutely love it. Your dynamic is engaging, caring, and funny. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, Wesley. I'm reaching out for the first time to make a request. And when an email starts with I'm reaching out for the first time, I don't know how long you've been listening, but to be pushed to email, I'm like, I'm listening. Please include family as part of the upcoming Locutus series. If the timing is an issue, perhaps it's not too late to record both Best of Worlds as one episode to make my case. And then he lists all of the reasons why family is a really, really important episode to include in this. And I mention it because we can't fit in family as well, not without screwing up Holiday and the fact that we're going straight into Star Trek Academy as well. Family is the episode that follows Best of Both Worlds Part 2, and it does a bit of Picard dealing with trauma and dealing with what's just happened. It is important, and it's an incredible episode, but it's just, we don't have time to fit that one into what we're doing. But I wanted to acknowledge that, yes, it is important, and we will cover it at some point. It's just not going to be as part of the trio.
So let me get this straight. You just read someone's email to say no?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry,
Wesley. But I wanted to it's not ignored. It's valid. I agree. It's the one that has to go, sadly. And part of me is really, really hurt by that because it's really important.
Can't we just stop and not do Generations and do Family instead?
That's good. We're not doing Generations. We're doing First Contact.
Fuck.
We're not skipping First Contact. Well, Ambassador, that's the first episode of the new season. Next week's episode is going to be Season 3, Episode 26, The Best of Both Worlds. I am so excited to finally do this episode. Let's go! Ambassador, anything to plug before we say goodbye?
We do have a working website at the moment. We're experimenting with how that looks. It's iananddeneé.com. I just have one kind of splash page for Captain's Pod, and I have hopes in the future of each episode having a blog post and something that you can read about and links and things like that. But it may also just serve as a hub of information. So you can check that and see if we've been able to add any new pages about our Patreon or our other projects that we do. So that's kind of a fun thing. So we will continue to patch things together for now. And we've got, special, what are they called? Force fields in place for the holes in our ship.
That's the one.
Mainly because I decided to click go live on a website and it shut down all of our systems.
Yeah, it did.
We can't really figure out how to undo that just yet. That's the only real thing that I wanted to talk about because it's important. That's why.
We have just finished printing some Derper prizes. The Derper prize Mark 1 has been printed. Our intent for this is to sell it as a little Christmas tree ornament / key ring thing. There is going to be a semi-limited run of this version of the Derper prize. Go to the Ian and Deneé Patreon for
our updates.
For our updates with that and how you can purchase one as well. And yeah, that's it. Go to the usual places, Discord, links are in the description and whatnot. Join the live show and things. Go to the description, it's all in there. Until next week, I'm Captain Ian, and this is as real as your so-called life gets from me.
And it's growl for me, let me know you still care from me.
Live long and Podsper.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Captain's Pod. If you'd like to get in touch with the podcast, you can send us an email to ian@iananddeneé.com. And if you want to support the show and get the episodes early, you can go to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/iananddeneé. If you want to catch the show live, we have those links down in the description for YouTube and Twitch. And then I think I'm supposed to close this hailing frequency, so bloop bloop, we're out.
Somebody just woke up from a nap. How are you doing? Are you well? Yes.
I was very far away.
Oh, what were you dreaming about?
It wasn't good.
Oh no, tell me.
No, I don't want to because I don't think I can remember it.
You were pretty deep sleep. You do not enjoy being woken up either.
No, I didn't enjoy being woken up. I was just thinking about if I just super over exaggerated on everything that just happened.
Do it.
Oh, it would involve you waking me up and with a high beam flashlight to the face.
That's not wow.
I know. I just said.
But I enjoy explaining What? That's an exaggeration
No. That's the best part is that nobody knows.
Well, I get made out to look like a dick. What was the high beam flashlight that I shined in your face?
What was it?
Yeah.
It was rude. That's what.
What was it actually?
And then you tried to push me down the stairs.
Yeah. Yeah. I refused to give you a coffee as well.
No, if we're extremely exaggerative, then it would be like you dumped it on my head.
I dumped the coffee on your head while drinking my own coffee.
Yeah, that was crazy. What's in this coffee?
Coffee, milk, sugar. That's it.
How much sugar?
Not much. So it doesn't have honey. It doesn't have like 7 spoons of honey in it. It doesn't have 14 cups
Why are you
of
being so
cocoa powder.
exaggerative?
I think I've got my camera to stop fucking autofocusing.
Oh, that's something to celebrate.
Sure is. It was getting Ian's goat. All
And
right.
Ian's goat makes what sound?
I
Oh my God.
just let that come out of me.
That should go back in you.
All right. What you looking at?
The real reason why dogs lick people.
What is it?
We could just taste really good.
Wait, what? Because they like... You mean specifically why they're like licking us?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the salt. It's the salt on our skin.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like how you're acting like you knew that.
No, I have said this so many times. It's the salt, without question. It's our sweaty little glands. You love it when me and Iris do that now.
It's so cute.
We will play Lego Star Wars, and the great thing is that when you press start, the opening menu, it does a big and we will both time the
that you both
perfectly.
just burst out. It's so cute.
Throughout the house.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a Star Wars girl right now.
But when she was describing all of the reasons that you two are a great fit, Star Trek is included in that.
It's in there.
Along with space,
Yeah.
science,
Yeah.
Lego,
Yeah. Pokemon.
yeah.
We share a lot of deep lore together now.
Yes. And now that we're playing Minecraft Pokemon, aka Craftymon, like our whole world is just
Everything is merging.
it's all coming together. It's so fun.
All right. Captain's...
Boy, am I need some coffee. Copy me. I need some coffee.
You have some in front of you.
This is not coffee.
Then give it to me and I'll drink it. Because it is coffee. But it might just be that the Borg will assimilate all of his toys.
Imagine if that's like the military school that he threatens his son with.
You'll go to Borg Academy?
Yeah.
That'd be
Get
amazing.
it together or I'm sending you to the Borg school.
Jesus.
They will assimilate you. I'll fix it, but you'll have learned a lesson.
I don't think any lessons will be learned.
From the Borg kid?
Yeah.
I mean, for the Q kid?
Nah. I think if you're omnipotent, you might say you've learned a lesson to get out of the punishment and then just go back to fucking around.
If there's one thing I know now as a parent, it's like I would never give that much power to a child. It would be insane. Do you know like how full our house would be with toys?
Oh,
if she could just snap
immediately.
her fingers and have whatever she wanted.
Within seconds. And just taquitos everywhere. Taquitos and toys. Remember when I had to clean up dog shit again this morning?
Oh my God. If we sleep in, there are consequences.
If we don't get up at 7 a.m., there will be shit in the house.
And literally 7 a.m. is the latest that they want us
Yeah,
up.
the
They
very
want us up at
latest.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm getting absolutely roasted in the chat for my cough, which is incredible.
You
Lower
still
decks
have it. Can you believe it?
meets upper respiratory.
Yeah.
I can because these coughs always linger for a couple of
I
months
like
after the
Deep
cold.
Cough 9.
Yeah.
Strange New Cough. Welcome to Cough with Ian. Ian, the Cough Podcast. Mm-hmm. Yep, keep them coming. Poor Ian.
The cough generation. First cough tax. Let's go!
Wow, that's amazing. Link asked if Q could bring the dead back to life.
Yeah.
What a
But I
dick.
don't really like to do it. It's very messy.
Oh, boy.
Wandering says increase magnification to 10 to the third power. Riker, my dude, just say 1,000. It's so true. 10 to the third power is not that impressive. We are recording.